Hey, you're muted.
Hi, everyone. I just did like this awesome intro, the best intro of all time. It was like super awesome and amazing, but I was muted, so you didn't hear it. But hey, everyone, welcome to another season of First Canada Live. It's season 3, folks. This is a show where we get together with teams, personalities from our community. We talk robots, stories, community initiatives, all the good stuff that's happening in the First Canada community. And man, boy, oh boy, do we miss you. It has been so long, and it is so good to be here live with you, all energized, all good to go, and we're going to have a great show tonight. But to kick things off, as Canadians, it is very important that we recognize the land on which we are a part. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect upon the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we celebrate today. We acknowledge the elders and youth, past, present, and emerging, of all the land on which we work and live. We honor the ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the Indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America. The Indigenous people have been gifted the role of caretakers of this land before the arrival of settler peoples until today. But most importantly, we remember that the history of these lands and people that have been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who called Canada home before it was given this name. This history is something that is affected by, that everyone is affected by. We are all treaty people in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect upon, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, it does not define our future. All right, thank you very much, everyone. And it's going to be a great show today. On the show, we're talking the FRs, we're talking the season. We've got all sorts of stuff. We're talking about all the programs. First up, we have Annika Pint here, who's going to be talking about the first Lego League Challenge. We have Lisa Ramraj, who's our new First Tech Challenge program manager. Of course, she's going to be talking First Tech Challenge. We have story time with the legendary, the 2021 First Robotics Competition Volunteer of the Year, Mr. James Spencer. That's right. You're going to hear those, those game announcing voices. It's going to be right here talking all sorts of good stuff. And of course, we're going to have the president of First Canada, Mr. Dave Ellis, on the show to give us an update and kind of the state of the union of what's going on in First Canada. So throughout the show, we're interactive. If you've got any questions for any of our guests, for me, or for anything in general, you just want to talk about who the best Raptor of all time is, here that might be a discussion point later on today. Post them in chat, and we'll try our best to answer them live on air. And hey, everyone, remember, we're here to have some fun and celebrate excellence in our community. So let's bring our positivity, let's bring our gracious professionalism, and let's show everyone how we do it up here. And to start things off, like we always do, let's do a couple news updates. We don't have a lot because most of the news updates for today are going to be blended into the segments because we have a lot of great people who have a lot to tell you about this upcoming season. But we wanted to give you a little bit of an update on First Canada Live because that's right, we are back, and the show schedule is a little bit different this season. For the fall, we're going to be going bi-weekly. So every other week, there'll be a show. So we're on this week, and then we're off next week, and then we'll be back the following Tuesday. Every other week. Don't worry, we'll keep you up to date via social media on what's going on, who the guests are going to be. We're doing that. We're slowing it down for the fall because in January, we're going to go full bore. We're going to go every week as we get ready for this, the season and, hopefully events and all that sort of good stuff. We got a lot of plans for what we want to do with the FTC season and the FRC season. So it's going to be really, really great. But during the fall, every other week is how we're doing things. Talking about this season, but hey, registration is open for this season. Do you know that? That's right. Yeah. Hey, normally I would have a co-host here. We would have a co-host from the Youth Council, but the Youth Council is just getting in the swing of things like we all are. So it's just me. So I'm kind of talking to myself right now. Hey, Karthik, did you know the registration is open this week? What? Registration's open? That's amazing. Hey, teams, you should go get signed up. So we'll log into your dashboard as First Inspires, and you can find out all the good stuff about registration. And if you have any questions about how to get registered, how to, what you need to do, you can reach out to the program managers in any of the programs, and they will be grateful to set you up. And we have some of those program managers on the show today. So we're going to get lots of information. I'm talking really fast here because I'm trying to gain back time because I know we were a little bit late, but we got a lot of good stuff going on, and we're going to kick it off with Mr. Dave Ellis. But before we do that, let's take a look at a word from one of our sponsors, Magna. Oh, hey, we're back. Hey, I'm not muted this time. Success. It's the first day of school. All of you were going back to school on your first day. I'm sure someone tripped on a curb or something like that. Things happen. All right, now for our first segment, I'd like to introduce the new president of First Canada and also 2017 Championship First Leg League Challenge Volunteer of the Year Award winner, Mr. Dave Ellis. How's it going, Dave?
Hey, Karthik. Yeah, it's going well, man. It's going well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here, Dave. This is your first time on the show as the president now. So that's like a big deal. Does that mean like you've started keeping bees and are growing honey in your backyard like Mr. Brenner did? Or, but seriously, what's the transition like becoming president of an organization that means so much to so many people? And obviously, filling the shoes of someone who, we all adore. You do as well, adore Mr. Brenner.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's hard following a legend like Mark, right? For anybody following Mark, it would be difficult. So it's pretty challenging. He leaves a huge legacy behind. But the First community has been super supportive. First Canada as well as First globally. Welcoming me and supporting me. So that's felt really positive, which is great. And it was a busy summer, so I didn't really have a lot of time to stop and think about everything that was going on with the transition. It was kind of like full bore right into things, managing FTC while we were waiting to hire Lisa, but as well as trying to get all the summer camp stuff going. I know we're going to talk about all that, but it was it was a busy summer, so it was good. I think it was really good to be busy like that because it meant I didn't have to dwell on the fact that I was following Mark Brenner, right? Like,
right.
A bit intimidating, let's be honest. But yeah, it's been a good summer, and the transition's been good. And Mark was really good leading up to that, really kind of showing me the ropes a little bit and preparing me for the role. And he continues to be on speed dial for me. If there's any questions I've got for him. So that process has been really good.
Well, that's really exciting that that you have that access to speed, like that much expertise just right there as a phone a friend, circling the island on the jet ski, right? As they say.
Yeah. I don't know that would be the same in a lot of situations, right? Like sometimes you jump in a role, somebody else is leaving, and that's it. Like you jump in, you're like, okay, let's look at the notes that he left behind or she left behind for me, So it's been good that way for sure. Mark and I are friends, so it's pretty convenient just to give him a call and chat. We chatted today actually, and we saw each other through the summer as well a couple times. So it's been really good, and the staff at First Canada is amazing, as you know. So having the support of the staff as well, things get done, and they get done really, really well. So that's been really cool to have the support of the First Canada staff as well.
Yeah, it's a real team effort. When you think of all our teams in our community across our programs, how they come together to work together at events, and then the teams, not just within their teams, at events, they come together and they're working together in the same way. The First Canada staff is collaborative like that. Everyone's supporting each other, everyone helping each other out, when troubleshooting, like we just did before this show as we were getting ourselves on. It was just amazing to see everyone just jumping into action. It's really cool to see. So Dave, like you said, your presidentship, I guess, kicked off really quickly. There's a lot going on First Canada this summer. Do you want to talk about some of the cool success stories that have been going on? That I think a lot of our community, has been kind of checked out of robots, rightfully so. Everyone needs a break or whatever. But First Canada just kept going, and there was stuff going on. So you want to talk a little bit about some of the neat things that have been happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got a government grant going into the summer. We got word about it in the spring, and a few of us worked on kind of a proposal to get that grant, and it was really to address learning loss due to COVID. So it was that was the focus, and it was really supposed to be kind of summer camp stuff. We took about 3 days, I guess, to put this proposal together, and it was a monumental proposal to expect. When we were putting it together, I was thinking to myself, "There's no way we can pull this out. It's just impossible." But we put the proposal anyway, and it got accepted, and then we were like, "Okay, now we got to actually deliver it, right?" Exactly.
Yeah, you can propose anything, right? Yeah, I got this great proposal how I can play for the Raptors this year. It's fabulous.
Yeah. I keep telling the Leafs I'm ready, but
exactly.
They don't call me. But yeah, so it was intense to get that call and be like, you won the proposal, and it's go time. So the staff again, as usual, pulled together, and we did some hiring, and the interns that we hired, I can't say enough about them. They were just incredible. I know that you had a big leadership role in helping them along through the summer, but it was just amazing to see everything that they were able to accomplish in such a short period of time, to get up to speed instantly with us and with everything that was going on, all these plans that we had concocted, and then we're like, okay, go, right? Like, you're it, like, hit the road running. And they really did. It was amazing. Some of the stats, we hit over 3,000 students, around 100 schools, 250 workshops. We had FRC teams running camps for us. We had the interns running camps for us. We did some stuff ourselves internally on staff as well, doing that. And it was really neat to see the whole community come together in that way, to pull that off. And one of the really special things about this whole thing was it wasn't just learning loss due to COVID, it was learning loss due to COVID in targeted underserved areas. That was part of the proposal as well. So that was really special to be a part of as well. We were able to really make a big difference in a lot of kids' lives, I think, this summer. And that always feels really good. So that was pretty exciting as well. And we got to use the opportunity index, which was super exciting, something that you had a massive hand in developing last year. And it was just so powerful to see that being used. And then also another big project that we worked on during COVID was the FTC Sim, and that being able to be implemented in two. So those two projects were kind of key last year for us. And it was really neat to see those two come together in that summer camp experience. And we made like really good inroads with certain community groups, NACA and Tropicana and Indigenous Services of Canada. And just the ability to make those connections is really rich for us, because it gives us the opportunity to then go back and further develop those relationships and really continue to impact those communities, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, Dave, it was such a cool opportunity. And like looking at some of the stats, like the camps that our interns ran, I think there was over 600 students who attended these camps, and I believe it was not over 90% came from communities that were underserved in at least one category. And so we were able to really reach. The pandemic has acted a little bit of a mirror to society, but the pandemic also it disproportionately impacted certain communities, and the communities that have struggled the most were the ones that were impacted the most, and where learning loss can really have an impact. And so we had the opportunity to say, okay, thanks to this grant, thanks to the support, let's go out and support those who need it. And these kids they were just so thrilled, and how much joy they had. It's like they got to learn how to program robots. Like that's a really cool thing to be able to do for free. And every first kid knows like the great feeling when you see your robot move for the first time, and your code did that. And sure, it wasn't in person, but that virtual experience through FTC Sim, which by the way, you need to check out. It's just this cool piece of software. I know Lisa's going to be talking about it in a little bit, but where you can work on robots virtually. Just like you said, all of it coming together was really cool. And those 7 interns we had 7 full-time interns, and I want to give them a bit of a shout out because they were super awesome. So, Sheila, Aaron, Cyrus, Kyle, Evan, Shanika, Jess, you are stars. And we're going to be having them on the show in October to talk a little bit about what it's like to intern for First Canada. So I think that's something that I think a lot of the community will be excited about. They could talk about what they did with the camps, but like what it's like behind the scenes. So it'll be a good time. So that's going to be coming up on one of our October shows.
That'll be a great segment. Great. It'd be great to hear from them on their perspective of the summer too, right? Because we have our own perspective and we're looking, towards them, but it'd be interesting to see what they have to say as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. The other thing, Carla, is that it was so cool to see how, we kind of, think and hope and assume in some cases that, the experience of FIRST really prepares our kids, but it was really powerful to see it in action, where all these interns, they weren't random people, they were people that came through the FIRST program. And you could just see how FIRST had developed some of their skills. I mean, I'm sure they were superstars without FIRST, but that experience really, I think, fine-tuned them into these really fantastic people that helped us with the summer program.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of proof in the pudding, and with this program, we can talk about it all we want, and I'm sure students who are in the program watching right now kind of probably feel like, oh yeah, like you don't really understand how FIRST impacts you until you're kind of beyond it or whatever. But the amount of alumni I talk to, and I'm an alumni myself, and just the things that I've learned through the context of FIRST, and it's interesting. It's just the other day I was reading a study. It was talking about the impact of being a youth athlete on your future careers, and and then I was reading about the reasons that they suggest that why it's been so impactful. And there's the ability to deal with adversity from winning and losing, the ability to work in teams. And I'm like, wait a second, our robot kids get that. Our robot kids, and it's the same sort of thing, except you're picking up skills which arguably are more applicable, in terms of like the hard skills, but the soft skills, the teamwork, the competition. So it's like it's this both sides of things, and it's what's great about our programs. Like, yeah, the robots are important, but the other side is too, and so it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, 100%. Not everybody's going to be an engineer or a coder, when they leave high school. But all of FIRST can use the skills, the soft skills, like you were saying, in whatever they do.
So Dave, we talked about the summer, but the season's coming up, and we'd be ignoring an elephant in the room if we didn't talk a little bit about COVID, because we are still in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're in the midst of a potential fourth wave. There's a lot going on, and on Friday, First Canada put out a statement talking about a vaccination policy. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about this policy in general and what First Canada is doing to make sure that our season can happen as safely as possible through this pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm hoping that people watching have seen the social media post about it or seen it on an email from the program updates. But obviously, First Canada, has this COVID task force that we started, which is a small group of our staff who are really focused and targeted and zoned in on the science, and kind of the mission of that group is really what is best for the health and safety of our volunteers, our mentors, and our kids, and making our program safe for those that are going to be participating. And so that's kind of the guiding principle of what we're doing, right, with this task force. And so that's what was driving the decision behind the announcement that we made on Friday. The announcement being that we will be requiring people to have double vaccination in order to come to our in-person events. And that also follows the provincial guidelines, right? So we were coming out with that anyway, and then the government announced it as well. So it fit really nicely with what we were planning to do anyway. There wasn't a big right turn there or anything. And that felt good, that we were on the right path. And the response, I would say, from the community has been, overwhelmingly positive around this, even globally. Like people in other regions are commenting on the fact that, First Canada has taken a real leadership role in safety and following science. And as a STEM organization, it kind of makes sense. We should really be, paying attention to stats and science and what they're telling us. And we're not the experts, but we can certainly listen to the experts. And so that's been the goal of that response and that vaccination statement that we posted on Friday. So if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go check it out. Part of that was also that we were going to be doing remote events through the fall, and hoping to have in-person events in January, February for FTC and FLL provincials, and of course FRC in-person events as well. So right now the goal is let's keep everybody safe, and see what happens with the like you were saying, the fourth wave, and then we'll move forward from there.
Yeah, and I think also, Dave, one big factor in all this, because we want to keep our participants safe, we obviously, but we also care about the communities that our participants belong to, because everything that everyone does during this pandemic, it's not just about you and your family, which is obviously super important, but everyone's we're wearing these shirts that say we are connected, but truly we are connected as a society, and it means that we have to look out for each other, and we have to make sacrifices at times, and we have to do certain things. But you're right, the response has been like super positive to the policy, and really excited about that. And yes, there's a little bit of a pause on events right now. It's going to be remote for the fall, but like Dave, the remote event experience for both First Lego League Challenge and for First Tech Challenge is still pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you take a sliced look at what the experience is on a first team, right? We already talked about the skills that the kids are picking up beyond the technical skills, but those soft skills. That experience of working with a team last year was a little bit more challenging because teams were really themselves were not able to meet together. And I think the hope this year is that most teams are going to be able to work together in person at their locations, probably if they're either cohorted at school. obviously wearing masks or whatever, so that, that's up to the teams to decide what's safe for them and their community and whatever. But there's that option that's probably available to them. And I think the event experience that they get for the remote events is really cool. But even before that event is that culminating activity. But think about all the different things that happen as being a part of that team, right? You've got your teamwork skills, you got your communication skills, you got just the socialization of hanging out together and talking with each other and making plans, and then the idea of obviously the design and the build and the programming and all of the technical things that also lead up to that competition. Those are all really good experiences. And in an FLL challenge, you've got the innovation project as well, right? So you're obviously doing a lot of research for that and preparing for that and the presentation skills. And there's so many, like, you can just go on and on about the soft skills that you get picked up through the participation, which has nothing to do really with the event itself, right?
Right.
And then the event itself is still really cool. Like last year, our remote events were a lot of fun, and the teams that participated in them got a lot out of them. So I'm pretty excited about, even though we're not in person for the fall, which would have been our first choice, obviously, if everything was normal. I think the remote option for teams is a really, really good option for people.
Yeah, I think it's the remote. We love our in-person events, and we can't wait to get back to them. And that's the plan. That's the goal for January, February, March, April, to make that happen. But in the meantime, there's still a lot of cool stuff that can happen with the remote season. We got a couple questions in chat before we go, Dave. The community wants to hear from you. This one, very direct. So FRC this season, what's the deal? I want to say in 2 weeks' time, the legend John Hobbins is going to be on the show, along with the new FRC program manager, First Robotics Competition program manager, William Neal. So we go into a lot more detail. But Dave, do you want to give the high level of where things stand with FRC right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to steal thunder from John and William, but the FRC season, our plan is obviously to go ahead face to face, and there are some options that were floated last year with some details on how we could make that work with potentially smaller events or those kinds of things. I can't get into the details of what that's going to look like. But I know that I was on a call today with headquarters, and there's going to be some information coming out in the next a week or two that's going to have some details about what that looks like. So I think the community can really look forward to that communication from the headquarters coming soon. And then of course, John will follow up with probably a deep dive of what that looks like for Ontario.
Yeah, but our message as a whole is we are planning and expecting to go in person. Not a guarantee. We can't promise anything. This pandemic has a mind of its own, but what can we all do in the meantime? We can all be COVID safe. We can get vaccinated if eligible and able, and we can do all these sorts of good things. And another question to tie into that: when should teams expect more announcements regarding COVID protocols, if any? As we get closer to events, that's when we'll start releasing more information. Right now we're leaning a lot on our partner organizations and the government as we're learning more about the vaccine certification programs and all those sorts of things. So we will get stuff out as we start announcing the return to in-person events. But Dave, here's a fun one. I think we'll close it out on this question. Well, we got two things to do here, but this question: what aspect of the program do you think you could point to as a particular focal point for you, almost like a personal thing for you?
Like the most impactful thing that's like,
I think something that you're probably especially passionate about within the program, whether it be a certain thing or a certain characteristic.
Yeah. I'll go back to those soft skills. For me, the robot's fun, and I enjoy the robot, and that was when I was getting started as a coach in First League Challenge. That was the hook for me for sure. But over the years, I've really learned to appreciate the other aspects of First, including the type of people that we're creating in First, and that to me that's the gold. That's the gold that comes out of this. The idea, just watching these interns in the summer, right? You had people who were young people who were accomplished and competent and were able to just take charge of things. And that leadership skill is not something that you see a lot in youth these days. And I hear that from a lot of my friends, right? Who are like, oh, if you tell them you're a teacher, right? Oh, you're a teacher. Oh, it must be really hard working with kids these days. They're so difficult and challenging. Oh, teenagers these days, right? Because my kids are now teenagers. And there's just like almost eye roll about how bad teenagers are. But I always flip that in those conversations. I'm like, that's not the experience that I have with teenagers. The teenagers that I experience are amazing kids. They're focused, they're polite, respectful of each other, and inclusive of each other. And those are really, I think, powerful experiences for our youth, and really is going to drive, what our society looks like moving out of this. So I think that's really the biggest hook for me now is that impact that we have on the youth.
Sure. Yeah, it's really cool to see, and this isn't lip service, folks. We're not just saying this. The students in this program every year just kind of blow us away, and then the sacrifices you all made over the last couple of years and continue to make. You've missed school dances, you've missed proms, you've missed robot competitions, you've missed all sorts of good stuff, and that's rough, and it's there's nothing we can do to bring those back for you, but I just want to say thank you for the sacrifices. Everyone's been making sacrifices, but it's a special group, and I think they go unrecognized. So
and the flip side of that too, Karthik, is that these kids are amazing, but it doesn't happen by accident, right?
Yeah.
Part of it is the structure and the culture of FIRST, but a lot of that comes down to the people that are running the programs, right? So you've got teachers, and you've got parents, and you've got community members, and you've got alumni who are either coming back to volunteer at the events and also exuding all of these qualities, or you've got them in leadership positions with these kids, and being fantastic role models. So and giving their time, just like hours and hours and hours of their time, which in most organizations just doesn't happen. Like it just doesn't happen from a volunteer perspective. So we can't say enough about the kids, but that doesn't happen without those adult mentors. So just a huge, my hat's off to those people as well.
You're all amazing. Shout out to everyone. Hey Dave, before we go, what's the coolest thing you did this summer?
Coolest thing I did this summer. So I'm into, I don't know if you knew this, Karthik, but I'm into water sports. And so I was at a friend's cottage. I usually do like water skiing, used to do like barefoot and trick skiing and all kinds of stuff when I was a kid, right? So I still do slalom skiing now, but that's about it. But I went to a friend's cottage, and they have this special boat that has like ballasts in the back, and you can like suck water in, and the boat like sinks about 2 feet down into the water and creates this massive weight coming out of the back of the boat. And you can do what's called wake surfing. So it's different from wakeboarding. You're kind of you're not tied in at all to the board. You're just kind of standing on it like you would on a surfboard, but it's a shorter surfboard. And you get right behind the boat, and the wake from the boat propels you forward towards the boat. And it's just a really cool experience. I'd never done it before. You kind of like, you don't have a rope anymore attaching to the boat, and you're just totally like surfing on a wave. That's this perpetual wave that just stays there the whole time because of the boat. So it's a pretty cool experience. I think that was my coolest time this summer.
Well, guess what? We got video. So let's take a look at Dave on the wakeboard.
Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah! Very good. Yeah. Oh
no! Okay, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Super, super cool. Hey, Dave, thanks so much for coming on the show. Always love to have the president of FIRST Canada on the show. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for everything that you're doing. And folks, we got a lot more stuff coming up, but we're going to be back in just a second after this video from MDA. Bye, Dave.
Yeah.
And we'll have that video for MDA in just a second. But it's so cool being able to talk with Dave about all the stuff that's going on, and also just kind of to see the behind the scenes thing, like how many presidents are just out there like wakeboarding and doing this fun stuff. But at the same time, those soft skills that he's mentioned are like just so critical to this program. And it's so easy to get lost in the focus of the robot, and it's easy to get, because it's so central to everything. But sometimes it's neat to kind of step back to see what's going on and what you've picked up along the way. So there's some cool stuff, and also in our next segment, we got Lisa Ramraj coming up. We're going to be talking First Tech Challenge, which is really cool because we talked a little bit about FTC Sim earlier because the interns were working about that. So we're going to see what's going on with that. But before we do any of that, let's take a look at the sponsor video from MDA. Oh, hey, we're back. All right, so we had the new president of First Canada, but now it's time for the new First Canada program manager for the First Tech Challenge. She's also a First Canada alum. Lisa Ramraj is here. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Karthik.
Welcome to the show. You've been on the show before as a guest, but now it's your first time on as a staff member. So that's super exciting. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it's super exciting. I still can't get over the fact that now I have a firstroboticscanada.org email. It's
Right.
kind of nuts still.
And you got a First Canada Live overlay right there. The name, pronouns, all looking
Yep.
good. Matches your room. Hair matches the bear behind you. Everything
Of course.
is set up nicely. Yep. Very, very good. Hey, Lisa, let me just quote one of the earlier questions we had from Parth Patel, but just change it up. So FTCs this season, what's the deal?
Well, our first Tech Challenge game, Freight Frenzy, presented by Raytheon Technologies, is kicking off this Saturday. First Canada is going to be starting our show at 11:30 a.m. Make sure to tune in because we're going to be doing a Kahoot based on game manual number 1. So you know what you have to do. You have to read the manual in order to win some cool First Canada swag.
And game manual part 1's out there already, right, Lisa?
Yep, it's on the website.
So for our folks in the first robotics competition who are exposed to FTC for the first time, that's a little bit different. Like they let out not just like administrative rules, but like robot rules are available, ready to digest and to be processed. And it's really neat because you can parse through those and you can kind of be like, oh, there's some hints in here. Okay, ooh, expansion limit, no expansion limit. What's that telling me about the game?
Yeah, exactly. So if you read the manual, you'll have a chance to win some cool First Canada swag. After our Kahoot, we are going to be rebroadcasting the HQ stream, which is going to start at 12. And we want to do that so we all watch the game reveal together. Right after the game reveal, we are going to be switching cameras to Studica, where 3 of our key volunteers are going to have a full competition field in front of them. They're going to be ready to answer any and all of your questions about the game field and the game pieces. And again, we're going to have a second Kahoot available, so another chance to win some cool prizes based on the second part of the manual. So if you're paying attention to the game reveal, can read through that manual really quick, you'll have a chance to win some prizes.
That is pretty sweet. And, you know, prizes. So like Lisa, are there going to be like moleskin notebooks and blankets available as prizes?
I have no idea what Swaggy P has planned. Maybe a bag of chip clips. You never can have enough chip clips.
I'll fight everyone for the trivia because, you know, you need to have, let me see. Do I have a chip clip? Got one right there, right there.
Wait, I got my staff package and I got no chip clips. I'm kind of sad. Come on, Swaggy P, you got to hook me up with some
This chip clip was a present from one of the other program managers gave this one to me. So I'm very excited about that.
I see. So
yeah,
but typically during kickoff, if you've heard of like what we've done for FTC kickoff in the past, we have some workshops. But this year, we wanted to give coaches a little bit more time to set up their teams and give you a little bit more flexibility. So we are actually going to be doing workshops on October 2nd instead. We're hoping to cover a wide range of topics from the game rules themselves to programming, to awards, to how to communicate during a pandemic, which is definitely something that we can, it's great to hear how other teams are doing it so that you can see what can work for you. So that's going to be on October 2nd. Stay tuned for an actual schedule that's still in the works. And some people have been asking when are tournaments going to be. So tournaments are going to be remote this year, like Karthik and Dave mentioned before, and they're going to be held in November, December this year. If any teams, FRC teams, are interested in hosting an event, please feel free to contact us. We're always looking for potential event hosts. Remember, these events are meant to be fundraisers for your team. So if you're interested, please contact me. On the topic of remote events during fall, we are hoping and planning for an in-person provincial championships in the new year. So that will be around January, February, and that is our plan. We are going ahead with that plan. one other quick announcement before I let Karthik jump in. Grants, we have an amazing opportunity for new teams. So if you are a new team this year, while supplies last, we will be able to offer you the first year team grant, which is $750. And on top of that, we would be able to give you free registration. Registration is typically $275 US, which is like $350 Canadian. So you'd be getting 750, so more than $1,000 to start up your team, which is awesome. If you are thinking or interested in doing that, please do not register through Dashboard. Please contact me. My email can be found on the Force Canada website. Please contact me directly. I will do your registration for you, and then your team will show up in your dashboard.
Wait, hold up. So you just showed up on staff and you're giving them $750, a free registration, and you're going to sign up for them?
Yeah, pretty much.
This is a sweet deal right here. So
right now, I'm the lead mentor of about 50 FTC teams. So I'm ready to just like put your name on that, and then your registration is done completely.
Right. I'm renaming this segment Lisa Ramraj Makes It Rain. That is really great stuff that's going on with the events. I think the opportunity to host events, I think that could be a great fundraiser for a lot of our FRC teams, or maybe you're a group who's already done a First Leg League Challenge event in the past, and you feel like you've got the skill set, you got the people. It's like, hey, let's do it back to back weekends in a row. Let's go for it. I know our friends at Woburn Collegiate used to do that with the in-person one. They would go back to back with events. So there's a lot of neat stuff that can go on. But Lisa, we talked a little bit about remote events, and we know our teams are working in different ways. Some are working distanced in person, some are still trying to do things remote. What are some of the tools? And I know Dave and I talked about it a little bit, but the number one tool for FTC teams who are working remotely right now. Tell us about FTC Sim.
FTC Sim is an awesome web-based game, essentially, that will help teach your students how to program. Like I said, it's web-based, so you don't have to download anything. Super accessible. All you need is to make an account and log in. The way it works is that there are different puzzles or like field layouts, and there's a virtual robot that you program to complete whatever task. And the programs, the tasks start out super basic. So essentially just drive forward, drive back. And you're doing this with block codes. And as you get more comfortable, you build on your skills and you complete the consecutive puzzles. Once you're comfortable with driving around, there's different levels you can play that have like a gripper to play in some of the tasks, and even like color sensors and push sensors. There's different sensors.
There's one where you have to drive over a pit of doom. There's like a pit of doom and you have to fill it with boxes to get over it. It's like, these are like, this is like a game right there, except you're coding it, It's like, It's like, whoa, pit of doom. I don't want to fall in there. That's devious.
It's actually really cool. It's really like user-friendly, beginner-friendly. I loved it. And we actually have, along with like the normal puzzles that are in the game, we recently released a new feature called the Arena. And in the Arena, it's kind of like, it's a new puzzle that lasts a month. And each day you can improve your code and submit a new way to complete the puzzle. Once midnight hits, all the submissions are saved, and you can essentially watch all of the people who have submitted their puzzle for that day. You can watch them complete it, and you can see how they did it. And there's a leaderboard to see who's doing it the best. And each day in the month, you can resubmit to get a better and better score. And then it resets every month. So I know I'm going to jump in and try to see if I can get my name on the leaderboard. I don't know about anyone else.
That seems a little unfair. Like, you are, first of all, you're a mechanical engineering graduate from the University of Waterloo. Water.
Lou.
And you're the FTC program manager. You can't be at the top of the leaderboard.
I have to show that I can do it too.
We know you can do it.
But it's super fun. I actually want to try.
Okay.
But then Karthik, you try. Let's see if you can beat me.
No, I'm not getting involved in this. I'm not getting involved. Maybe I can get some of the summer interns to get it. Yeah. Oh, I should have had a competition between the interns. Intern Hunger Games. God.
Oh my goodness.
How do I miss these things out?
Two cool new things that are coming to FTC Sim. On kickoff, which again is Saturday, we are one, moving FTC Sim to its own website. So it's going to be hosted properly. If you're familiar with it, it's typically hosted on a website called Pixelpad. Now we're giving it its own place to live. And the other thing we're releasing on Saturday is the beta on blocks Java. So normally you just program in blocks, but now you're going to have an option to program in on-bot Java, which if you're familiar with, you will use. That's another option to program your FTC robots in. But just everyone remember, it's a beta version. So throughout the first week, there may be things, flying robots or things that don't quite work, but let us know. We want all your feedback and we will make it the best thing it can be.
All right, Lisa, thanks so much for all this information about FTC. It's really, really cool. We got a question here from chat. We want to take it a little bit quickly, but Lisa, as the program manager, what aspect of FTC are you personally looking to have an impact on? Something you will take personally in your job. Sounds like this person plagiarized a question from earlier. Parth.
I figured. I think the really cool thing about FTC is its accessibility and like getting it in the hands of students that would not have the chance to do this otherwise. It's the barrier to entry is so low that like I would love it like to give as many students as possible, especially in our underserved regions that we've identified using the OI, the opportunity to like have it in their hands, because I know what an extreme difference FRC made for me, because I was able to have the robot in my hands, make something directly for it, have the opportunity to participate in the different aspects. And I think that FTC, because it's a smaller scale, like you can give that well-rounded experience to so many more students. And I want to do that. I am extremely passionate about that. And I will do my best to make that happen.
Well, there is no doubt in my mind that you will. When you're passionate about something, things happen. And that's really, really exciting. All right, Lisa, important question before we go. You're known as being a bit of a bear aficionado. You basically love red and you love bear. That's why sometimes your name is Red Bear or the such. What is your favorite bear?
Okay. So one of them is a real bear. One of them is technically not considered a bear. But like,
Okay.
if I have to say, if for a bear, it has to be polar bears. They're
Okay.
just adorable. But a close second, I know it's not really a bear, but I like to call it red panda bear.
Red
Because they're
pandas
so
are great.
cute.
The red
And-
pandas are the best.
Look at the tail. It is adorable.
Do you have a favorite red panda in the world?
Adira in the Toronto Zoo.
Adira is pretty. I really like Suva though. Her dad, Suva, is pretty legit. Suva just kind of like chills. Adira is like all active and running around. Suva's just like, I'm gonna eat my snacks. Num 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 num. Look at my leaf eater biscuits. And I like Carson from the California Zoo, I believe,
Right.
and then Pabu, the Prince of Pounce. I'm like
Oh,
up on all the
love-
red pandas. Pabu's great. Wasn't it
Yeah.
sad when he moved from the Oregon Zoo to the Montana Zoo? It's just like it's not the same. The Oregon Zoo had much richer social media content. Chat is
Yeah,
like
for
Pabu is wild. Yeah, Pabu just pounces. He just like, imagine having like, so for those of you who don't know, Pabu's a red panda from the Oregon Zoo, now in the Montana Zoo, and he just likes to run around and jump on his mother and just pounce. And he just loves jumping on things. Like imagine if you get a Pabu in real life, like Lisa, like you're just like walking around and like say like someone just like jumps and yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The red panda, I follow a lot of red pandas on social media, so it's really important to just to stay up to date with what all of them are doing. Like I actually, one of these days, I want to have like a project in mind. I want to make a red panda family tree, because I swear every red panda in North America is related somehow. And so
Probably.
all right, okay, we digress too much. This is what happens on First Canada Live. You just have fun. Lisa, welcome to the First Canada staff. It is great to have you here, being a part of it. I'm so excited to see what you're going to be a part of this season. And I think the community is excited for that too. And FTC Kickoff, Freight Frenzy, presented by Raytheon Technologies. I can't wait to find out what's going on with this game. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to be there at kickoff on Saturday. You're going to be there with me. It's going to be a great time. And so, Lisa, we will see you then. And we're going to be back with our next segment in just a couple of seconds. Be back, folks. Oh, hey, we're back. Another segment. Guess what, everyone? Is everyone's favorite time. Karthik, what's everyone's favorite time? Karthik, it's story time. That's right. A segment where we bring out some of our alumni, some of our volunteers, some of the cool people in our community just to talk stories, just kind of like as if we're behind the scores table, just chatting it up. And today we got a really special one, First Canada alum and a mentor of Team 610, Crescent Robotics, and the voice of First Canada. That's right, the game announcer you'll hear at provincials for the finals year after year. He was also the 2021 Ontario Provincial Championship Volunteer of the Year, none other than Mr. James Spencer.
Hey,
what up, buddy?
Great to see you. It's been a while.
I know, man. Like, you know, like in robot season, like basically my favorite thing is to like MC an event where you're the game announcer and just like chill and talk robots and talk strategy and, you know, clap for teams, make up cheers for teams and doing all that good stuff. And so it's good to have you on the show, buddy.
Yeah, great to be here. Like, I don't know how we got into this together, and yeah, every event that we're at together, something new comes up. We got the Cap Alpaca, we got the one defeated.
Undefeated.
Memories.
Undefeated. Hey, you know, we're just making legends out there. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have fun with all of this. But James, welcome to the show. It's great to, I don't know how it's season 3, and this is the first time we're getting the like illustrious voice on the show. Although we've used your voiceover at times, I believe. We've used your voiceover.
Yeah. I was asked for a voiceover, and then apparently that was enough to say that I was on the show, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. We checked the box right there. Yeah, James on the show. He did the voiceover to introduce Karthik. Well, at many of our first events, James will be the voice who you won't see anywhere, but he'll do the introduction for me as I come out, or for whoever may be emceeing, whether it be Sydney or Praveen or one of our awesome MCs. So that's really, really cool. But James, your first journey, how did you get to where you are? What was the start, and where did it take you?
The start is, I don't know how many people know this. This is going to be a very interesting start. There used to be a rule at my school that was basically you could not do robotics and sports. So I was a big basketball person. So basically they didn't want you splitting your time. It was like you have to be kind of dedicated to it. And so I wanted to do FLL in grade 7 and 8, wasn't allowed to, was on the basketball team. And so grade 9 came around, same deal, didn't join the FRC team until then. Grade 10, the basketball coach actually helped out with the FRC team and basically asked why I wasn't there. And he basically said, if I can do it, you can do it, and took me after practice down to the lab. And that was how I got involved with it. And so then, yeah, grade 10, 11, 12 on Team 610, and then went off to university, Queen's University. Underrated thing about Queen's, I would say, because I didn't know which discipline I wanted to go into. Got accepted to Waterloo for mechanical engineering.
Like Lisa, who we just had on.
Exactly. And I just didn't know. So I ended up going to Queen's because they have a general first year. You can basically test everything out for a little bit. So you get they have some geology, they have some chemistry, they have some math, they have your graphic design, right? So you get your taste of everything and kind of make the choice. On my FRC team, I was very much in the design, and I thought I was going to be a mechanical engineer. Turns out I can't draw. You know, that's something that's pretty important. So that graphics class, I can share my mark with everyone. It was a 59, okay? So it was a terrible mark. I managed to get through, didn't have to redo the course, but definitely made me change my mind on what I was gonna do. So then I ended up taking applied mathematics. Then in my final year, got introduced to a lot of coding. And by coding, I mean more telecommunications coding, like how do messages get transcoded in transit. Ended up doing my master's in that. Yeah, kind of jumped all the way around. And then First Connections come back to life. Mark Bredner knew I was graduating, put me in contact with Scotiabank, a major sponsor of First Robotics Canada. I ended up getting a job there, working on their data platforms and their data security. And then 4.5 years later, I'm looking for my next opportunity. Somebody who I met while I was at Queen's mentoring my FRC team works at this other company called Clio, which is where I work now. They make cloud-based software for legal companies. And yeah, First has kind of been in my like every day sort of since then, all the connections that you made. I know Karthik doesn't ask for your feedback right now, but if I was going to give that like piece of advice to people, the people you meet along the way, it's going to take you so far. Like you don't even know sort of it. This guy I met kind of got involved a random way. Fun fact about him, the first year he didn't really was trying to fit in, very smart guy. He was the multimeter at a point. It was very quiet. And so when we were trying to test connections, he would say beep a lot for us to try and make sure that we understood what was going on. And so that was how I really met this guy. And now he's like making that connection for me for a company that I never would have known about. And then I absolutely love it there. It's great. So
yeah, that's a really underrated part of first. But like James, you just kind of talked about how your first job was kind of linked up by you networking with Mark Bredner and getting to know him at events and the such. And then your second job with another mentor on your team. So it's all the people you meet along the way. And it's one of those things where a lot of people, and teams especially, it's like people think that it's like, oh, I'm going to turn on my performance and then I'm going to turn off. But every person you interact with is a person who can reflect upon you and who can recommend you places or whatever. And it all adds up. And so you're going to meet a lot of cool people in first. So, just always be ready to show how awesome you are. But that's a very cool story and a very cool journey. And so now you mentor Team 610, correct?
Yep.
And you spend a lot of time volunteering as a game announcer, as we've talked about. So you've been a part of a lot of first, going way back. I guess your rookie season was 2007?
Yes, 2007.
Okay, so you said you played on the basketball team at Crescent. Did you have any other first alumni volunteers who were on that team with you?
For Jonathan Norris, volunteer coordinator of the
Ryerson event.
Jano
was on the basketball team?
Oh, on the basketball team.
Yeah.
I thought you meant just on 610.
No.
Well, there's the infamous Remy Ojo Jr. of the Toronto Rush.
Yes.
Professional also star of Family Feud Canada.
Yes. Professional Ultimate Frisbee player. Star of Family Feud Canada. I'm missing something. Founder of the Ojo Scholarship.
Yes.
Winner of numerous awards.
Founder of multiple companies.
Yeah, it's a lot of cool alumni. But see, there you go. It's that connection, like playing sports and doing robots. You can do both, folks. You can do both. It's a really neat combination. So James, you've been through the whole gamut of this program. You've been student, you've been mentor, you've been volunteer. What's your proudest moment in all of this?
Oh man, proudest moment. I tried to think about this a bit. There's so many that have gone around. I think one of the big ones was in 2013, I was mentoring 2809 at the time. And we went down to the Finger Lakes Regional. I can also put into perspective, this was a tough season for them. This was when the teacher strike was going on, so the work to rule. It was very tough to get the team even going. It took a lot of effort from a couple dedicated parents, and it took a lot of effort from our mentors who are all university students to try and make that season happen. We worked very closely with Queen's University to secure the funding to make it happen. And then, I guess the perfect storm that kind of fueled our chairman's essay and all the stuff that we were doing. And then we went down there and we submitted. And I don't know how many people remember at the time, 340 was the premier, one of the almost championship quality level chairman's award winning teams there.
They had won it at a regional level, I believe 5 or 6 years in a row.
Yeah. And so it was hey, we're going to put our hat in the ring and we're just going to kind of see what happens. And again, most of the teams I've been on and what I kind of focus on, I'm kind of the robot guy. So I don't really focus too much on the chairman's documentation stuff. I did a lot of work to, make that connection with Queens and keep that source of income and make sure that we demonstrated all of our stuff there and kept that relationship strong. But I didn't really do much of the essay writing. So all competition, we're just going on mostly trying to win and seed well. I believe we end up on the 6 Alliance with the Warlords, 1507. And we're trying to make our way through
I remember this event.
You came down.
Yeah, me and James Soror, we brought you a fence to put on your
Yeah,
robot.
exactly.
Me and James Soror built the surgical tubing fence, and you put it on the robot. The big D.
Exactly. You and Jeff Allen came down as well.
Yeah.
And so we went out. We knew we couldn't make the strongest alliance in terms of performance, but we knew we could make the strongest alliance in terms of hitting other people. So our third pick was the best drivetrain. And I remember, I think we can go back and look at one of the videos. Our driver takes a full court run at another team, knocks them over, and one of their bumpers comes off. Like, this video is on the Blue Alliance somewhere. It's amazing.
That's a garage. That's what we call a garage sale, where two robots collide and then a bunch of stuff falls, and it just looks like it's a garage sale. It's like, oh, bumper for sale. Oh, Fisher Price motor.
Yeah. Anyway, and it's like we get knocked out in the quarters. That team that beat us went on to win it all. It went to 3. I think we lost. It was very close. But we still had this hope that, we submitted chairmans, maybe we can win. I believe 2009 had won EI for a couple of years in a row there in 2011 and 2012, I think. So they still had hopes in there. And then they started announcing that, I guess it was an FLR thing. They do it in an epic poem, and you get that how it's going, and then we can see that might be us. And we were you could see everyone getting very giddy in the stands, they've been working very hard on it. And yeah, I think having everyone come together and kind of make that season happen the way it did, and the fact that we could go in and kind of take what seemed nearly impossible, that was a pretty great moment for me.
Yeah, it was that's a very cool Cinderella story and all of that, because I remember I left before awards ceremony because I was just like, you have to get back and everything. And then I think either you or Taylor or someone texted me. Our car just kind of exploded in cheers, just like that. Because it's always cool, especially cool to see Canadian teams succeed in the US. It's just it's a nice sort of point of pride. It's just kind of like waving the flag, and it's really cool. That was a fun event. That was a fun weekend. So that's your proudest moment.
Yeah, let me give you one. There's one more tidbit from that I thought I almost personally lost the team the chairman's award within an hour of being at the competition, because we're unpacking and they're really trying to rush you out of the pit, right? Because most volunteers, they want to get home as well, and we're just trying to touch things up. This volunteer comes to our pit and they're giving us the 1 minute warning. So now I'm getting a little agitated with them. And then, so I tell them that it's okay, we're just putting on our bumpers and then we're leaving. And then they go, there's no need for you to put on your bumpers. You don't know what alliance you're going to be on tomorrow. And so I say, they're reversible, boom. And I said this to a volunteer, right? And then it's at the end of the day, I'm not really thinking. And we get on the bus to go home and I'm like, well, that wasn't very smart. But, apparently it was not enough to ruin it, or they're not in the chairman's judge's room. So
I'm sorry, but it just reminds me of in Age of Ultron when Rhodey's telling the story and he's like, boom, you looking for this? Boom. I got to tie everything back to the MC. Okay, that's amazing. I'm glad you did not keep your team from winning the chairman's award. That's very, very important. So do you have a favorite FRC story in all this? That's proudest, favorite, it could be funniest, it could be most monumental, it could be epic for some reason.
Epic for some reason. Oh man. Okay. In 2008, how do I put this? There's a very large staircase. Okay. It's about 3 stories high. And for people who might not have been around in 2008, the game piece was this 48-inch inflatable ball. So it's your typical yoga ball and then double it, or exercise ball.
Yeah.
And so again, Remy Ojo, this comes full circle here. Junior. He sees a video online and he's like, let's see how high we can get this thing to bounce. So we run this to the top of the stairs. While he is screaming, we're so impulsive, our teacher is telling us that, reminder, this is the only game piece that we have.
Right.
And we drop it from the top there. There's a very pixelated, 2 megapixel camera video of this. And it comes up, bounces pretty high. It's pretty fantastic. But what we failed to look at is there was a little bit of an art exhibit at the bottom of the staircase. So it comes up, it bounces up, and then into the railing, and then makes a beeline for this art exhibit, which has a little bit of glass associated with it. And so this game piece hits the glass, pops, and yeah, most memorable moment. Like every time we get together as a group of who was around for that,
Yeah.
The big red ball bounce always comes up. It's always like, do you remember that time that we did this thing that was a terrible idea?
Well, those balls also were like, because they were so massive, they were like dangerous. I
Yes.
remember like one time, because it's story time, so we'll tell stories. Paul Copioli, known for at this time was the drive coach for the Thunder Chickens, Team 217. He's a well-known game announcer, used to game announce in Waterloo or whatever. He was driving that year actually to the Rochester event and then stopped off in St. Catharines to say hello and was picking me up. And he brought his two kids, who at the time were probably like 5 and 8 years old or whatever. And this trackball, like James said, 40 inches. It is massive. It is heavy. And so his kids are like running around our practice field and they're chasing the robot. The robot's chasing them. And Paul's like, hey, calm down. Kids are still running. He's like, hey, calm down. Still running. He picks up the giant 40-inch trackball and chucks it at one of his children. The ball is considerably big. His children are not 40 inches tall at this point in their lives. They are smaller. Hits him in the back of the head. The kid just like starts rotating through the air. I was like, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we just witnessed like a murder. And the kid just gets up and goes, again. I think my criteria for like how good a game piece is like what kind of activities you can do with the game piece and like how entertaining it can be. So like totes, not really much. It's just like, yeah, that's like a FedEx shipping thing. 40-inch trackball, yeah, that's a winner. Like wiffle balls, a little bit boring, but like any like the 2020 balls, the fuel cells, like those were like, yeah, you could really throw those, bounce them off of people.
The 2007 poof balls were great.
Yeah, the poof balls. Yep. The 2007 tubes. They weren't as, but there was the skill of like throwing them onto the rack, which Remy Ojo Jr. was very good at.
It's true.
Yeah. And then the Orbit balls, 2009. You were the human player in 2009, right?
I was, yeah. The
Didn't
basketball skills came into play there.
Didn't you wear a Larry Bird jersey back then?
No, I wore my Crescent School.
Oh, I just started calling you Larry
jersey.
Bird because I'm that MC. Oh, okay, that's good. This is good stuff here. James, we talked a lot about things to do with First and everything like that, but outside of First, what is something that you're passionate about or something awesome that you do that's not related to First at all?
Passionate, man, Toronto sports, like it's not really anything like spectacular, but diehard fan. I was downtown with Karthik and a whole bunch of people when the Toronto Raptors won the championship in 2019. We were just screaming and just listing old Raptors players to each other and just doing everything. If the Leafs ever win, I'm sure it'll be the same.
Well, we'll be down there, buddy. We'll be down there. James, do you remember? So this Ties it first into the celebration when the Raptors won. But we like literally stopped in the middle of downtown and I was like, okay, I started doing the introduction for the Raptors being the champs as the way I would do it as an event. I was like, like, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. And we were like, and then people just started like watching us because like we sounded like we were like real announcers or something, which I guess we are or whatever. And they're like, you're 2019 champions of the world. There was like hundreds of people watching this. It was like super awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Toronto sports, Jays are down 1-0 right now in the fifth inning to Tampa, but there's still time. And with that lineup, they could, they might end up winning 12-1. Okay, James, we got to go here, but big question before we go. We've had a fun question for everyone. Who is the greatest Toronto Raptor of all time? In your opinion?
All in all, it has to be Kyle Lowry. Like,
Ding,
I don't
ding, ding. Yeah.
I don't know how you can say anyone else. Tenure, what he's done for the team, his leadership. Game 6 to close it out, how he started there. you'll play that on repeat, right?
Yeah, just the beginning of the game and the end of the game. The beginning of the game when he just like he came out in game 6, and because remember he missed the shot at the end of game 5. It was blocked by Dre.
Draymond,
and and then he came out beginning of game 6 and just like boom 3, boom 3, and it's just like we were watching that one together. It was like, okay, we're not losing tonight. You're not. Kyle Lowry was just not going to allow that to happen. And I think he's my answer as well. I think you could say that. Kawhi Leonard is obviously
a single season,
single season that, and then Vince Carter for all his woes and how he, threw games and all that nonsense and everything, but still what he did for basketball in Canada, there's something to be said. Chris Bosh for his period just inducted into the Hall of Fame, but
DeMar
DeRozan again, longevity just didn't have the playoff success.
Was the one to be the one star to stay or the first star to stay, even that meant a lot to the city. So
right, and then Nathan Jawai,
the Aussie Shaq, Rafael Arujo. Mike James for his one season.
He plays for on the jersey on the back, not on the front. That's right. There's been a lot of greats, but Kyle Lowry is a special one. He's going to be missed in this city, but you know what? We got a great crop of young athletes here, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. may be just the most fun athlete we've had in so long. He's just like, he's all energy, he's all jokes, he's all giggles, but just an amazing hitter, an amazing talent. So it's
the whole team, gotta love George Springer, Teoscar Hernandez, just all together. It has that feeling of 2015 where it's the team just meshed so well together that you feel like they're in every game. Well,
also you feel attached to them. They dance in the clubhouse constantly. It's almost like a first team, It's like, okay, we're winning. It's like, okay, we're going to cha-cha, like Backstreet Boys come on. James, at an event, Backstreet Boys come on. Me and you start singing. What happens? Backstreet Boys come on. Vladdy and Bo start singing together. It's super great. Hey, James, thanks so much for coming on. I can't wait to get back to events with you. It'll be a blast. Anything you want to shout out before you go?
No, nothing from me.
Nothing for you. Hey, go Jays, go! Right? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks, buddy. Shout out to the NBA chat. 4 out of 5, 80% of it on the show right now. That's a big deal. All right, folks, we're going to be back in just a couple seconds with our FLL Challenge Program Manager. We'll do that in a sec. Oh, hey, we're back. And I'd now like to introduce the first Canada Program Manager for First Lego League Challenge, none other than Annika Pint.
Hey, Karthik.
Hello, Annika. How are you doing?
Great. And you? Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. The show's been super fun so far. So we had Dave, we had Lisa, we had James. You're going to bring that same level of energy here for all of us, talking about all the good stuff? Let's do it. Let's do it. So we have First Lego League Challenge season, not upcoming. It is going. It is on right now. The name of the game is Cargo Connect. What can you tell us about this season?
Yeah, it is on. So in this Cargo Connect season, the participating youth are going to be exploring how cargo is sorted, transported, and delivered to its destinations. All of this year's missions in the robot game are related to the sorting, transporting, and delivery of cargo, and teams are going to be developing innovative solutions to help make these processes more efficient, safer, and maybe even more environmentally friendly.
Oh, that's a big one, because when you think about transportation is actually one of the biggest drivers of fossil fuels and such. You might be thinking, really? But so much stuff has to get moved around, and you think about you go to the grocery store. I'm going on a Karthik rant. Sorry, Annika, it's happening right now. But you go to the grocery store. It's the middle of February. It's like, I want some strawberries. There are strawberries there. How does that happen in Ontario? Well, they're coming from a long ways away. So even though your grocery store may be local, but I think the teams there's a lot of cool things you can dive into with this stuff. And I'm really excited to see their research project. If someone does a research project on public transportation, I'm in. I'll help. Tell them, Annika, I'll be their expert. I'm not actually an expert. I just read a lot, but
you want to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the teams, I also wanted to mention that we have close to 200 teams that have already registered to participate this season. Over 80 of them are rookie teams. And it's also wonderful to see that many teams that took a break for completely understandable reasons during the replay season are back this year. We know that many wish they could be, but for also understandable reasons might be waiting until next season for more FLL challenge fun and learning. For those teams that are back, we've got lots of grants available for them, in particular for first and second year teams, and also for teams with youth that are considered underserved, underrepresented, or vulnerable youth. So lots on offer for the teams that are joining us this season.
So it just kind of like how Lisa was on earlier. We were saying that Lisa was making it rain because she was just like handing out these grants. You got the same thing going on, eh?
We do, yeah. Check out the First Canada website to find out about the eligibility and to apply.
And if someone wants to contact someone, you're the person.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Annika's email address can be found on the First Canada website. So take a look at that. If you go to the staff page and then boom, click the link right there and she'll help you out. So, with this Cargo Connect season, the game is already out, which is a unique sort of perspective. But even though the game's out, we still have a kickoff event and a kickoff celebration that's coming up in a couple of weeks, right, Annika?
We do. Yeah, thanks for asking. We're very excited about the kickoff celebration. It's happening October 2nd, and it is going to be featuring inspirational keynote presentation from an industrial engineer and children's book author named Jennifer Ladipo. We're also going to be taking a deep dive into the robot game with provincial head referee Jeff Locke. And coaches are going to have a chance to network with one another. There'll be a panel discussion and they can get answers to all of their questions about the season, including what to expect at remote events in December.
So that's a lot of cool stuff. And so Jennifer Ladipo, she's a children's author, but she's involving robots in her new book. Is that still top secret? I don't know. I don't want to give anything away.
There might be some robot action going on in her new book, which is actually going to be released, and we're going to have some copies available to participants, and we're just going to see all of the ways in which Jennifer puts the A in STEAM, really, and how she incorporates reading and art to really bring STEM learning to life.
And it's really cool when it all comes together like that, because there's this old school mindset that, like there's left brain people and right brain people, and like left brain people like numbers and calculations and they should go into STEM, and others are creative and they should go into the arts. But like, it's such a binary way of thinking, and like to solve tough problems, which is what this world is full of, and what we need problem solvers who aren't just rigid, repetitive type problem solvers, but we need creative problem solvers. So we need both sets of skills. And then communication is such a huge piece of this, because you can have the solution. There are people out there who have solutions to some of these big problems, but no one's using the solution because they haven't been able to communicate it. They haven't been able to sell it and this such. So and that's what I love about first teams. You get all these different pieces together, especially in first LEGO League Challenge, and then boom, there you go.
Yeah, the students come out so well-rounded, as they do through participation in all first programs, but they really get a chance to develop and foster all of those skills that you're describing through participation in first LEGO League Challenge.
And so the kickoff event, and just want to give everyone the date and time for that, just so they can get it into their calendars.
Yeah, so there's a kickoff celebration. It's on October 2nd from 10 to 3. And then actually following the kickoff celebration, we've got a week of workshops that are happening from 6 to 8 at night from Monday, October 4th to Thursday, October 7th. And this is where we'll be featuring some workshops on topics ranging from, like robot strategy and building and programming to things like coaching strategies, the use of remote collaboration tools, and how to foster diverse and inclusive teams. So there'll be something for everyone, lots of workshops from which to choose. And there'll be a registration for that on the website as well in the coming weeks.
Awesome. And so we, on the show today, we probably have some FRC team folks who are watching, some FTC team folks, especially because Lisa was just on. And if they're interested in mentoring or maybe even starting a first LEGO League team, would these like conference sessions be the kind of sessions that can set them up for a season?
Definitely. It's really all of the different aspects associated with coaching a first LEGO League team, or first LEGO League Challenge team. And so they can come and get a taste of what all of those different aspects involve and how they can what they can learn and how they can really serve those teams that they might be starting.
Yeah, that's really exciting because I love the synergy between the programs and how they connect with each other. And, especially now because First Lego League Challenge is so well established in this province, but you go to an FRC event and it feels like, it's anecdotal, but it feels like 25, 30% of these kids were on First Lego League Challenge teams at some point, and they have that same energy. And then the excitement last year because the innovation project has been a big part of First Lego League Challenge for a long time. And it came to FRC and FTC last year. And there were so many kids who were like, yes, I get to do this again, because they missed it from their FLL days.
Yeah, and when you were talking about FRC and FTC teams potentially starting or mentoring FLL Challenge teams, just think about the preparation that you're doing for those students that are eventually going to be on your team. So it's such a great foundation that could really benefit their teams down the road.
Yeah, I think there's right. Foundation is the key word there. It's really kind of building that. And, this has been a long gap that we've had, and there's been a couple years of students that have missed out on all of our programs. But if you are, a mentor or a student in one of the upper grade programs or such, you may want to be reestablishing that pipeline. And that's what First Lego League Challenge, and then obviously First Lego League Discover and Explore as well. The younger programs, they all kind of connect, and it's like it's building up that pipeline, that potential, and at worst, you're getting more kids excited about robots, and they get to have the same level of excitement that you have, and at best, this might be your future FRC driver or captain or chairman's presenter someday in the future, which is really, really neat. So Cargo Connect, the game is out there already. Annika, do you have a favorite mission already?
Favorite mission? Yeah. I guess actually what you were speaking about earlier reminds me of one of the missions when you were talking about the carbon emissions. So there's one mission called Switch Engine, where you switch the engine, hence the name, from
pretty descriptive,
from diesel to electric.
Nice.
Because despite there still being environmental impacts associated with electric vehicles, I suppose if more cargo was transported using electric versus gas-powered vehicles, the carbon dioxide emissions would be considerably reduced, as would the effects of climate change.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one of them. The other one, selfishly, is there's one called Home Delivery, where they have to put a package on the doorstep, because who doesn't like getting packages on their doorstep?
I love getting packages.
I know I have for the past few years. So yeah, those two.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I have not taken a detailed look yet at the missions or whatever, but every year there's always something in the First Lego League Challenge game that I just get like super hyped up about. Sometimes it's like a pig on the field, or
there's a chicken this year.
There's a chicken?
Chicken is back, yes.
Okay, wow. That's like a way back playback.
Yeah.
Okay, well, chicken, that's probably going to be my favorite right there. It's going to be making noise, all sorts of excitement stuff. So, it's been summer, Annika. Have you read or watched anything lately that is super cool or exciting that you want to talk about? Or just like fun, made you laugh?
Well, I wouldn't say it's probably not the lightest read, but I have to recommend it anyways. Just because I'm currently reading. It's called Policing Black Lives by Robin Maynard. It's quite an eye-opening book. Not the most comfortable read, but because it explores the history and lasting legacy of anti-Black racism in Canada, and it takes a look at some of the narratives in Canada about multiculturalism and inclusion. So I highly recommend it, but it's definitely not a light read, but an important one.
You said it's a little bit uncomfortable, and one quote that I really like, I think it was Dr. Imogen Covey, you can't have change without discomfort. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to sometimes step outside of our comfort zone. I actually, I was reading something by, I don't know if you're familiar with David Epstein. He's an author. He's the author of Range, which is a book that talks about the importance of being a generalist as opposed to hyper-focusing on one specific area. And one of the things he always talks about, it's important to spend some time of your week reading something that is not in your wheelhouse, so not your area of expertise, just to kind of step outside, because not just because it's cool to learn new things, which it is, but it gets your brain thinking in different ways, as opposed to like refining knowledge, the expansion of knowledge and that discovery phase. So I know it's something I try and do. Like, it would be easy just to kind of spend all my time just like looking at robot stuff and everything, and it's just like to try and pick something out there or whatever. And like I know for me, like the New Yorker is just always has like a diverse selection of different articles and whatever. I have one saved right now that's about a Syrian spy, which will be really cool. So it's just, you know, stepping outside, reading there. Hey, last year you were on the show just to open up the season, and you told us that you were an avid bird watcher. So we want to know, what was the coolest bird you saw this summer?
I'm such a nerd.
We all are. We're on a freaking show about robots. Come on.
I guess Eastern meadowlark.
Okay, tell me about an Eastern meadowlark, or tell everyone, because what does an Eastern meadowlark look like? What does it sound like?
They're
Does it go,
quite.
"Caw-caw"?
Yes. How did you know?
I know.
You too are a bird watcher. No, look, it's got a really beautiful song and like a beautiful yellow throat, and they're usually like perched on a fence post or at the top of a tree near a meadow. So the setting in which you see them is also quite beautiful.
Makes sense. Meadowlark. Yeah. Yeah. I would. What would I be like? Person in bed. Like that's, you know, like person napping, something like that. Annika, before we go, we had a really interesting question in chat. This is kind of a cool one. It's for both of us. I'll let you go first. Annika, what are your thoughts on first Lego League Challenge possibly having more driver control, like the first robotics competition or the first tech challenge? Or do you think that the full autonomous is the right play?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think there are benefits and disadvantages to having a straight autonomous mode the whole time. Either way, the students are getting an awesome experience because they're learning to code. Either they have to learn how to code their joystick or they have to learn to code the robot. So either way, they're getting a great experience. I will say that there may be some other changes to the robot game coming down in the next little while.
Spoiler alert.
Could be that, could be something else. But no, I really love to hear questions like that and suggestions for ways to innovate the game to keep it fresh. And I'm going to pass that one along. What do you think?
First Lego League Challenge is really, it's the all autonomous program, and it's like a very pure robotics experience. There's a lot of people out there who will make the claim that the first robotics competition isn't a true robotics experience. They think it's more of a build your own RC car type experience because the autonomous period is very light. I disagree with that assertion, but it's out there, especially from people in industry or whatever. And it's kind of neat to talk to FRC students when they're like, yeah, we got our 15-second autonomous working and we use 12 of the 15 seconds. And I'll be like, yeah. And this 9-year-old team went autonomous for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Obviously there's different tool chests and everything. I'm not just trying to say that, but that's really cool. However, I do think there's something really special in the first tech challenge, first robotics competition, that tactile response the first time something you've built, you make it move. And you get that with coding, but driving it is like it's a like cool sort of thing.
Feedback and instant reaction.
Yeah, and you know, as much as I think our culture needs to drift a little bit away from our car obsessed society, but there's something meaningful, like for people at the first time you drive a car and whatever. And this is like a car that sort of you've built, but it's doing neat things. So I think it'd be cool to see some part of it, but I do love the first Lego League Challenge, and I wouldn't want to make like a wholesale sort of change or whatever, but I don't know, maybe there's something to be said about that. Or even like it'd be neat if teams, and I know some teams have developed this ability just so they can drive the robot on the side. So at demos, they can drive a Lego robot around. There's like ways with certain plugins and cool stuff to do that. But that's a great question there, Parth. And Parth says, I agree with Karthik. Driving an FRC robot into Gurneet's back was certainly an experience for both of us. Yeah, that's where we go. That's a great way to end things there, Parth, on that happy note. Hey, Parth and everyone in chat, thanks so much for all these good questions we've had tonight. Really engaging for us and for our guests. Annika, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks for everything you're doing for First Lego League Challenge. Anything you'd like to shout out or reminders for our audience before you go?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just really looking forward to continuing to be inspired by the resilience and perseverance, resourcefulness, innovation of all the teams that are participating, and getting to hear about the impact that participation has on both new and returning teams. So good luck, everyone.
All right, thank you, Annika. All right, everyone, that's kind of wrapping up today's show. So just a reminder, we will not be back next week because our new fall schedules, we are on every 2 weeks, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. And we've got more programs to talk about. We're going to be talking first robotics competition with the FRC director, none other than Mr. John Hobbins, and the new first robotics competition program manager, William Neal, will be on. So it'll be great to meet William. Christine Bibick will be here talking First LEGO League, Discover and Explore. And the Kahoot Challenge is back. That's right. Last year's champion, Rishi Jotsingani. Oh, Rishi, I guess I should probably tell you. You're coming on the show in 2 weeks, and we're going to have a brand new challenger for you, new questions, all sorts of good stuff. But we got swag to give away. So Kahoot Challenge is coming back. It's going to be great. Hey, everyone. Hope you had an amazing summer. So glad you're back with us here on First Canada Live. Reminder, everyone, please stay safe. Mask up. Get vaccinated if you're able and eligible, and let's do our part to squash this pandemic so we can get back together sooner and we can take care of everyone in our community, because it's the thing to do. We're here to help, right? That's what Gracious Professionalism is about. First Canada Live, folks, season 3, we are here, and it's going to be a great one. Can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. But until then, night, everyone.